Okay, tell us why in those days it was good to work for the British, besides what you just said.
I don't know about many other places, but as I know where I work in the finance department and my friends in the other associate departments, the British officers in charge of us were actually very liberal. They weren't slave drivers as anyone would imagine, like you have a master-slave kind of situation. In our case, we were so liberal that we took actually advantage. We sat on the top of their heads, literally.
Like, what did y'all do?
For example, in my case, for myself, my office hours are 8:30 in the morning to 4 p.m. 8:30, I'm still at home. Can any employer tolerate that?
Not today.
At 4 o'clock, I'm home. I'm at home, ready to play football. So, and in between, I must tell you what we did too. We were very, I don't know, I think we exploited the whole situation. We were given an hour lunch break from 12 o'clock. So that's our lunchtime is 12 to 1. But these British guys, they opt to take their lunch half an hour later from 12:30 to 1:30. So what is the gap between 1 and 1:30? There is for us. We play monkey that half an hour. When we were not at work, we were monkeying around until they come in at 1:30. So they don't complain. They don't really drive us at all. I think partly because most of us were responsible enough for the jobs that were given to us. We met deadlines. In fact, for my team, myself and my team, we always gang out and say, hey, if we have to play monkey with them, we make sure our work is finished way on time and correct, accurate, because it's all handwork before we monkey around. So we start work at 8:30 and 10 o'clock we have coffee break. Instead of getting the guy to supply coffee from the canteen into the office, we go to the canteen and while away our time down there for the next 20 minutes or so. There were times we ordered a fish head curry in advance and then we go there and eat our fish head curry during coffee time. That kind of liberty we have. In less than 2 hours, we will go home for a lunch break at 12 o'clock. And 2:30, we have another coffee break. 1.5 hours later, 4 o'clock is time to finish work. So in that 6.5 hours day work, frankly, I think we did at the very most 3 hours work. The rest is all just whiling away time.
I want to talk a bit more about that. Do you think that is maybe because, partly it's because of the way the British work, right? Is their work culture. But also, is it also telling us that the naval base and the British military forces in Singapore were kind of past their time, right? Like after the Second World War, the threat of Japan is no more. The naval base was part of a British naval strategy to check the expansion and the military power of Japan in the 1920s and 1930s. No more already after the war, and Japan became a peaceful nation. There was a threat of the Cold War, right, that you can see from China becoming communist. And in Southeast Asia, some of the countries also had communist movements, especially the country just to the north of us. They had an emergency. Yes. In your time at the naval base, did you ever have had a sense that there could be war and that the naval base could be mobilized?
We had an experience short of a war. Remember President Sukarno's confrontation in 62, 63, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
So we had a situation like that alerted the whole British forces.
So
But
you're mobilized, you had drills and all that, is it?
no, for us as civilians, we were pretty calm. We were not introduced to it, but we can see the movements of the uniformed people. And then the ships were more in action. They are toing and froing the waters. Like my brother, who was an apprentice with the British in the Air Force, he was based in RAF Tengah. He was called up for duty because he was in uniform in at the time when he was an apprentice with the Air Force. So he has to be on standby. So for us CVs, we were just left alone, and all the other works were all the uniform people were handling. The naval part was all in the naval base. The armies and the Air Force, they have their own alerts. You have Changi Base, Air Force, you have Tengah, and then you have the armies in Chibi Gardens in Alexandra, Nisun, and all places like that. They were all on the alert.